James's hands trembled as he laid the small pack of diapers on the checkout counter. The store lights flickered faintly, buzzing overhead, making the whole place feel a little more worn, a little more tired. He pulled every crumpled bill and coin from his wallet, flattening the wrinkled edges against his palm. $12.49, the cashier droned, not even glancing up. James counted again. $12.50. Exactly enough. It would clear him out completely. His throat tightened, but he nodded, sliding the bills forward. His daughter Lily needed the diapers. That was all that mattered. She cooed softly from the carrier slung across his chest, big, curious eyes blinking up at him. He touched her tiny hand and forced a smile. Behind him, someone shifted. He hadn't noticed the woman in line, watching. Elena Hart stood tall, though exhaustion weighed on her shoulders. Her fitted charcoal coat and polished heels marked her as someone who didn't belong in a shabby grocery store at the edge of town. Normally, her assistant picked up whatever she needed, but tonight, after another long day of endless meetings in her high-rise office, she'd driven herself here. She wanted to breathe air that didn't come from behind tinted glass. She wanted to stand under flickering lights in a place where people lived real lives. And what she saw stopped her cold. The man ahead of her. His jacket was threadbare, his shoes cracked at the seams. His hands, rough and calloused, shook as he counted pennies. The baby strapped against him made soft, innocent sounds, completely unaware of the tension in her father's shoulders. Elena's heart clenched. A memory, sharp and unwelcome, stabbed at her. A night years ago when she'd found herself standing in a grocery aisle, tears burning her eyes, realizing she had no one to call. Her money had built walls around her life, not bridges. She had everything except family. And now before her stood a man with nothing but love written in every tired line of his face. James gathered the plastic bag quickly, wanting to escape the awkwardness of paying with his last dollar. He whispered to Lily, "We're okay, Bug. Daddy's got you." "Wait," a voice said behind him. He turned. A woman stood there, her eyes steady, dark hair pulled back neatly, confidence radiating from her posture. But there was something softer in her expression as she looked at Lily. "I'll take them all," she said. James frowned. "What?" "The diapers," she clarified. Her voice carried authority, but also gentleness. "All the packs, every size. I'll cover it." The cashier's eyes widened. James's stomach twisted. "No, you don't have to." "I want to," the woman interrupted. "She deserves it." Her gaze dropped to Lily, who blinked at her and let out a giggle. James felt his pride flare, but it collapsed under the weight of reality. Lily's diaper bag at home was nearly empty. He exhaled shakily. "Why would you do that?" The woman paused, something flickering in her eyes. "Because once I needed help, and no one came. I swore if I ever had the chance, I'd be different." The cashier, flustered, began piling diapers on the counter. The numbers climbed far past anything James could ever imagine paying. The woman, Elena, slid a sleek card across the scanner without blinking. As the bags filled, James finally whispered, "I don't know how to thank you." "Just take care of her," Elena said softly. "I do," James replied quickly. "I will, always." For the first time in years, Elena felt something shift inside her. She nodded once, turned to leave. But then Lily squealed, her tiny laugh bubbling out like sunlight breaking through clouds. She froze. That sound, pure, innocent, hit her like a punch. She hadn't heard laughter like that in her home for as long as she could remember. "Wait," James called after her. "What's your name?" "Elena." "Thank you, Elena. Really, you don't know what this means." But she did, more than he could guess. Outside, the night air was sharp. James struggled to fit the mountain of diaper packs into his dented sedan. Elena lingered, unable to walk away. Finally, she asked, "You're raising her alone?" James's shoulders stiffened, then eased. Yeah, her mom left when Lily was 3 months old. Said she couldn't handle it. So, it's just me and her. He brushed a curl off his daughter's forehead and smiled, weary but determined. We manage. Something in Elena cracked. For years, she'd managed too, but with bank accounts and board meetings instead of bottles and lullabies. She'd traded family for success, and the silence of her penthouse grew heavier every night. "You're a good father," she said quietly. James gave a short laugh, half bitter. "Some days I feel like I'm barely scraping by." "Scraping by is still showing up. That's more than most," Elena replied. Their eyes met, his tired but unwavering, hers guarded but searching. Two strangers from opposite worlds, tied by loneliness. Over the next weeks, Elena found herself driving back to that grocery store, then to James's job site, then his apartment complex. At first she told herself it was coincidence, but she knew better. Sometimes she dropped off formula, sometimes baby wipes, once a soft blanket the color of spring skies. Each time, James tried to refuse. Each time, she insisted, and slowly he stopped fighting. It wasn't charity, it was presence. She wasn't swooping in to rescue them, she was standing beside them. One evening after James's shift, she waited by his car. "There's an opening at one of my distribution centers, manager role. Good pay, steady hours, benefits. You'd be perfect for this." James blinked, stunned. "Me? I don't even have a degree." "You don't need one. You have grit, integrity, the kind of strength no resume can fake. That's what I want running things." He swallowed hard. "Why me?" Her voice softened. "Because you remind me what matters. And I don't want you or her to just survive. I want you to live." Months passed. James stepped into his new role and thrived. Bills were still bills, but they no longer haunted him. His fridge wasn't empty anymore. And every evening, Lily laughed as Elena crouched on the floor beside her, building block towers or reading storybooks with animated voices. One night, James caught Elena watching Lily sleep. Her face, usually so composed, softened into something fragile. "You'd make a wonderful mother," he said gently. Elena's breath hitched. She looked away. "I don't know how to be one." James shook his head. "You already are, at least to her. And maybe for the first time, to herself." On a quiet Sunday, James found himself cooking dinner in his small but warm apartment. The scent of garlic and tomato sauce filled the air. Lily toddled across the rug in the blanket Elena had given her, dragging it like a cape. Elena sat at the table laughing at something silly Lily had done. Not as a CEO, not as some benefactor, just as family. James glanced at her, gratitude swelling in his chest. The day he'd spent his last dollar had felt like the end of everything. Instead, it had been the beginning of hope, the beginning of trust. The day a lonely CEO named Elena Hart said, "I'll take them all." And she had. Diapers, burdens, silence, loneliness. She'd taken all of it and replaced it with something James never thought he'd have again. A partner, a friend, a chance at love.